The universe asked me to share my insights about my awakening and my past. And this is the first podcast about all this that will be discussed the next months, years, maybe, I don't know. So I thought about how to start, and maybe we can start with what you maybe most of you who are listening to this have in common: suffering, maybe fear a lot of the time, so anxiousness. And that's why I chose the title for this podcast, Fear is a Lie. I heard this in one of the channelings I'm listening to better understand what all this spirituality stuff is about, and I have learned a lot the last months about all this. I don't know all details at the moment, but it helped me a lot to understand what's important, what I have to leave, and where I should go. The interesting part with all this is I'm now fully awakened, and so there's experience how the alternative looks like, and it's pretty nice. Even if I'm still in my old environment, I cut all the dissonance relationships already, so there's a bit of space right now, but it will be filled the next months with people that read better to me, respect me more, better understanding, and so on. So the interesting part with all this is, if you are fully awakened, there's no fear anymore, there's no lack anymore. There's a lot of abundance and a lot of views on what life really is or should be. And this can help a lot to cope with all this, what you are currently maybe receive in the world, or where you think, oh, what's going on here? That's not the right way to do it, or I have to suffer. Why do I have to suffer? And the question is the right one. You don't have to suffer. But you have to understand where it comes from, and this was the title, It is a Lie. Why is it a lie? Fear or anxiousness is something that is constructed by your mind. So we have to talk about the mind, then we have to talk about who you really are, and then how you perceive the world, or how you live from day to day. Are you living in the moment, or do you live in the past or in the future, or both? It's quite interesting if you have a better understanding of all these principles, I would say, how you can look at everything, or what are the beliefs that are really yours and not those that you got from others, maybe from your parents, from your teachers, etc., from your spouse. And what is really important. One very important aspect is the outer world is not interesting. That can be as it is. There's just the problem that you interpreted it may be the wrong way. But the most important part in all this is to have a look inside. And that's this: understand who you are. And maybe it sounds a bit strange. What do you mean, who I am? It's not your role. It's not your position in the society. It's what motivates you most, your highest excitement, your values, your view on the world. And the important part is, in a non-limited or limiting version. So most of the times we try to adapt to something. Society norms, belief systems, to adapt to something outside of us where we think, and that's the belief system. We have to, but we not really want it to do it, but we do it because the outside asks for, or we think the outside needs it. And you can take every relationship as this. It makes no difference. It's always the same mechanics behind it. But do you feel dissonance or resonance with this behavior? That's the most important question. If there's a dissonance, so something that doesn't really work for you, doesn't matter how intensive this feeling is. If there's a small dissonance, you have a first hint that it's not something that's good for you, and you should try to understand why. And this try to understand why is the first step to understand who you are. Because if you can recognize the dissonances, understand what's the cause behind this, you can develop an idea of it, how to cope with this. Maybe get rid of it. So if you have a better understanding about your own needs, or what's important to you, then you can adapt your environment to it. So maybe you leave those people or situations, don't be any longer part of those situations, and the dissonances disappear. And the ideal situation is to have no dissonances at all. Need some time to get there. I'm still on the way, yes, but it's much better after the awakening, because you don't accept certain things any longer. Something that doesn't work for you is not supported any longer. You don't invest your own energy in this anymore. And you know why, pretty important, can understand and recognize why it is not longer interesting to invest this energy, or why you shouldn't, because you maybe violate your own values, your own beliefs. And those that are really your beliefs, it's pretty important, not those others gave you in the past, but your inner beliefs about the world and how it should be, how you see the world, and what is helpful for you, you on it. And yeah, so the interesting part in all this is what is inside you and how do you look at the moment at it. What I recognized over the last decades, I would say, the system around us has a certain structure. That's pretty interesting. It works with the idea, when there's fear, I can control people. So, in every situation where the fear comes up in people I want to control, I can describe the reality, and that's not real, it's a construction of the mind, that there's something that's dangerous to those people. And to cope with this, follow my ideas, buy my products, and so on. So, when you don't recognize that most of the times this kind of fear, anxiety is not real, but constructed, you can become rid of it. And it starts with, who am I? What are my beliefs? What is my reality? And the reality is individual, subjective. Every life on this planet has its own reality. That's okay, but it should be yours and not someone else's reality. So if there's someone outside of yourself and tells you that's the truth, you have to understand, is it really your truth? Or is it someone else's truth? And even the society is someone else. Not every norm that is implemented for decades, centuries, I don't know, is a truth for everyone, but it is an accepted truth until you understand or recognize that it's not your truth any longer. The same with beliefs, no? If you think you have to react in certain ways or be in certain ways, even if you maybe have a feeling of that's not me, but I have to because there's someone or something outside that tells me I have to. These dissonances are the problem, that you're still under control because you adapt to something that is not your reality. And that's a problem. If you accept it, you are under control in the end. It's not your decision, it's the decision from the outside. You may understand from the last descriptions that there's a lot of, okay, I can have a different look on such things maybe, and I should, if it's not my view on all this. So every time you recognize this dissonance, you get a better understanding about what is your view on this, why you may look at it differently, and maybe why you should look at it differently, because it doesn't suit who you are. So, outside, inside, pretty important. Inside can be changed, outside not. That's pretty important. So if you want to have a different view on everything, you have to change your inner world, or to better understand who you are at the end. And the first step is to look at all those dissonances and try to understand what is the cause for this. So every time you're in fear about, doesn't matter what, lose your job, war or something very, very big, that maybe can influence your life in the near future or in the future. Try to understand, why is there fear? What is the cause? It may be the information you have about some aspects of your outer world. So maybe the media hypes some negativity, and they do it a lot because they can earn more money with this. And you accept it because they talk about it again and again and again, and it looks like the truth. But is it really the truth? That's the question. Or does it look like a truth? And when you have a deeper look at it, the statistics maybe say something completely different. That's pretty important. What are your source of information, and how valid is it to accept what they are talking about, or maybe try to tell you about the outside of yourself? It's not always as it looks like, but it influences your perception of reality, and maybe because your mind constructs a reality out of this, influences how you react and maybe decide. But is this fear or this anxiety really a reality that is, I would say, a more objective way than a subjective way to look at? So there's a certain probability that is real and not a construct from someone else to maybe control you, to maybe influence you. That's something you can only prove if you know who you are and have reflected about all those beliefs that are not yours, society norms that are not really yours, You have them accepted in the past, but you now understand maybe, oh, this is not really a truth or something I will follow any longer. And that are the first steps to the awakening. So there's another aspect in it that is living in the past and living in the future. So why is it important? The past is gone. You can't change it. Why think about it? The future is still not written, and your mind is pretty limited to project something for the future. So why think about the future? Be in the moment is one of the most important concepts in spirituality. Just be, and always in the current moment, because there is no past and there is no future. It's also a construct of the mind. When you start to be in the moment and keep your mind, as most of the times, in this moment, it will work against this in the beginning very heavily, because it has to lose control over you. Then you are not distracted from all this negativity from the past and maybe the uncertainty of the future. Both are constructs of your mind. It's the same with if you listen to media. Is it real what my mind is talking to me? Because you are not your mind. It's just a part of your being, as the body is. So there's something we may talk about. You can call it soul or your spirit. That is not that obvious, because the mind is very loud, but the mind is limited. And one of those interesting parts in awakening is to listen to your spirit or your soul, come in connection with it more, or even talking to it, and try to understand that your mind, yes, is useful from time to time, but it's not the master of the system. So if you're in static loops of inner talking, your mind is distracting you from what's very important. And there's some interesting part in it. The mind tries to protect you, but most of the times there's nothing to protect. There is no danger or something like this. It's a construction. And maybe that's also the cause for fear or anxiety. You don't really have to listen to your mind that intensively. It is a good friend, but with limited views on the world. And yes, it's okay to listen to this friend from time to time, but don't follow it 100% of the time. That doesn't make sense. There's something more important, your spirit, your soul. So if you're on your way to awakening, it becomes more and more important to have a look at all the spiritual, because that's spirituality in the original sense, and get a better understanding what this body, this mind, your ego, and your spirit or soul are in combination, and who to follow when is an interesting question, and how to understand what is the importance of all this when those systems, I would say, talk to each other, work with each other, and why. So, what is important when we talk about fear and anxiety? It is most of the times a construct of your mind. So you can get rid of it if you understand what's the cause for this. It's the construction of the reality that creates this fear correct from your understanding of who you are? Or is it something from the outside you allowed to get into your mind and form a new kind of reality influenced by others or situations from the outside? And is there a truth in it? It is okay if friends warns you about a dangerous situation, but is there really a dangerous situation? That's the question. Most of the times, it is not. So if you talk about losing your job, okay, that's a consequence. Maybe you get into trouble with money, need some time to find something new. If you have a first look at this situation, you maybe get into trouble. But do you really need to have fear or anxiety about the time after losing your job? Because there's also a chance in it. You can get a better job and earn more money, better working conditions, maybe more interesting people you're working with or clients, I don't know. Do more interesting stuff. Maybe there's something in it that let your creativity, your inside creativity bloom. So there's a lot of positivity in it if you look at it from this perspective. And there's no proof that it will go worse. Not at all. That's a construct. You maybe have to better understand what works for you. So if you understand who you are, you can better select what is the next best after you lose your job, for example. So it suits better in the end if you follow this new positivity path and better understanding from what is important to you. And there's a lot of possibilities in it to get something that improves your life. But it's a perspective change. So if you're in a world of negativity, most of us are still in those worlds, and you follow this idea, everything gets worse and worse and worse, then you have a problem, sure. But if you keep yourself positive, there's no exception of change around you, and change is the only constant in this game. And it is a game, by the way. It is a game. Don't take it seriously. It's just a game. You have to understand how the rules are of this game and how you play your own part of it. Yes. But it is a game, nothing more. So look at it like a child. Play with it. Try things, new things, experiences, or experiment with it. And over time, better understand what's going on and why. And why you should be part of it or why you shouldn't. Because you know who you are, and you know that's a way to get more dissonances. You shouldn't go those ways any longer, and always try to get resonances if you change something. Yeah, and then you are under control of your life, and not the others control your life or your perspective and so on. And these are maybe subtle changes in the view on everything, but that are the important ones. And everything starts to understand who you are. So maybe you take some moments with your or on yourself and try to reflect about all those things that happened maybe the last months. Maybe try to understand where do you experience those dissonances and why, and how you will cope with this in the future and why. And then start to change. If there are situations that don't suit you, don't be part of those situations any longer. If there's something you dreamed of since your childhood, find a way to start doing it. Try to live your highest excitement. And it sounds crazy from the perspective how our world currently works. But it's another form of control to tell you that makes no sense. That makes no sense at all. Don't do it. But that's a lie too. That's the other way around. If you follow your highest excitement, everything around you will change to the better. But it needs courage, and it needs inner work, reflection, understanding, and of course, experimenting with those changes. It's not a fast track, it's a slow track, but it is worth to go it. And over time, after some little experiments, you will see, okay, it's a difference. It maybe you get more joy of something you dreamt of for years or decades to do. And now that you understand it is important to you to do it, and you get the first experiences that it's really fun to do it, do more of it. And do this with every aspect that is important for you, who you are. Who you are, that's the important part. Always do things that follow you who you are. And over time, you are less controlled by the outside because you get control over your life back. And don't invest in compromise. That's a black and white thing. If it's okay for you, do it. If not, don't do it any longer. That will help to get rid of all this fear and anxiousness moments. And over time, you have an inner peace, or develop an inner peace, even with this chaos around you and the world. Because there's one important thing inside. Outside is not important. It's a construct. That's not real. It looks like it is real. Reality is inside you. And you are the master of your reality, and you can change it. Just do it. That's something that is pretty important. Don't let yourself be influenced by others that don't understand who you are. Even your spouse, even your parents, even your best friends. You have to stop to look at it like this. Outside is not real. It's a construct. It's a mirroring of something others. Don't accept it this way any longer. Yeah, that's it for today. Some first insights. What could be important? How works? How does it work? And what can you change? Think about it. Think about who you are, and try to understand why are these dissonances around you, and how you get rid of it.